I would even say over the last month, I've had the thought, oh my gosh, there's never enough time. And then magically, there is not enough time to do anything. I don't get anything, quote unquote, done. Hello, and welcome to the Chaos to Clarity podcast. My name is Maggie, aka your business bestie. I teach female coaches, speakers, and course creators to release procrastination and perfection so that they can get more done, book more clients, and have the time freedom that all entrepreneurs crave. This is not your typical business coaching podcast. We're talking about business, life, probably some wooey magic, and probably some singing or referencing song lyrics along the way. So if you're into business building, making more money, and getting a little bit of a mindset shift along with having a good laugh, you're definitely in the right place. I've grown 3 businesses from $0 to consistent 4 and 5 figure months over the last 15 plus years. And now I'm helping you do the same thing. It didn't happen overnight, and it certainly didn't happen without the help of others. They say it takes a village to raise children, and I believe it takes a village to grow a business as well. So in this podcast, you'll find people who help you grow your village, cheer you on, as well as holding you accountable. I'm so excited you're here, and I can't wait for you to listen to each episode. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Chaos to Clarity podcast. My name is Maggie. I'm your business bestie and your Chaos to Clarity coach. I'm also the creator of the Empower Her Business Blueprint, which is my newest program. And I want to take a second to talk about the Empower Her Business Blueprint. Number one, because I have not talked about it here on the podcast. I actually don't think I've talked about any of my programs here on the podcast. I've been having so much fun with all the interviews that it just has not come up yet. So today I want to take a minute to talk about the Empower Her Business Blueprint. So what the Empower Her Business Blueprint is the opportunity for you to connect with me to really create the most ideal blueprint you can for your business. And what that looks like a lot of the time, right now, I'm incorporating a lot of human design into my coaching, which means helping you to utilize your human design in a way that allows you to maximize your growth in your business. And overall, the Empower Her Business Blueprint is something that I created in order to help coaches optimize their offer, learn how to create content that speaks to their audience, and learn how to sell in a way that doesn't feel salesy. So if you're interested in learning more about the Empower Her Business Blueprint, go ahead and either send me a DM on Instagram saying blueprint, or there'll be a link in the show notes below that will take you to the landing page for the Empower Her Business Blueprint. I would absolutely love to schedule a time to talk with you and see if you are a good fit for this program. And if you're wondering what it looks like to be a good fit for this program, chances are you're probably a woman, you're probably a coach, and you're probably experiencing some chaos in your business. Maybe you've tried a whole bunch of things. You've probably tried coaching. Maybe you've bought a whole bunch of courses and never really finished them. The Empower Her Business Blueprint is created or was created by me to help you really navigate all of that chaos and help to shift it into clarity. So really starting to develop those business practices and strategies that truly align with you, and then giving you the opportunity to shift those things if and when life happens and you need to shift. Okay, so what happens when there's not enough time, or when you have the thought, oh, there's never enough time? Specifically, there's never enough time in my day. Okay, if you're a woman in business, and chances are, if you're listening to this, you're probably a coach as well, and maybe you have kids, right? You've got a lot of stuff going on. And the thought, there's never enough time, keeps recurring. It keeps coming back and keeps coming up in your brain, right? And all of a sudden, it's like magic. You don't have enough time, and you want to do all these things. You want to get all these things done, and you're just continually wondering, where does the day go? Okay, so number one, you're not alone, right? I definitely experienced this, and even quite recently, I would even say over the last month, I've had the thought, oh my gosh, there's never enough time. And then magically, there is not enough time to do anything. I don't get anything, quote unquote, done. So this is kind of twofold, right? This is going to be a little bit energetics, but also some like practical, what can you like strategy wise do for yourself. So on an energetic level, when you're starting to think there's never enough time, or you're having those recurring thoughts, and sometimes they sneak up, I'm not going to lie, they definitely sneak up for me a lot more than I realize. And when I started having this thought, there's never enough time, and it really started in July, I would say mid-July, I had the thought, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, but I feel like I'm getting nowhere. There's never enough time. That was the thought that I had. And I had this thought on like a random Tuesday, literally. And then I realized, I looked at my schedule and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no time, and I have no time to do anything. And this thought kept getting bigger and bigger and louder and louder. And similarly to when people look at my kids, I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. They look at them, running around, playing, having fun, and they say to me, I wish I could have their energy. And you can have that kind of energy. You have to embody that kind of energy, right? When you start telling yourself these things, whether it's there's never enough time, or I have the energy of a 6-year-old, right? You're going to start embodying that energy. So when you have there's never enough time, no, there is never enough time, right? And that starts to show through. But as you start to shift your thoughts away from there's never enough time to maybe I'm getting exactly what I need to get done, or I have plenty of time, or something else that's maybe a little bit more open or positive, right? Because there's never enough time feels negative. It feels rushed. It feels hurried. So if you can start to shift that thought to something better for you, right? For me, it was shifting there's never enough time to I have plenty of time today to get these things done, right? And I know it's kind of vague and open, but that really, so every time that thought would come up, there's never enough time, I would remind myself, no, that's not true. I have plenty of time. I have plenty of time today. I need to pick a task and start working on it. So here's the thing with those kind of energetics, right? And I talked about the energy of my 6-year-old, and I want to come back to that because if you are constantly telling yourself, I'm so tired, you will be tired, right? Just like if you're constantly telling yourself, there's never enough time, there's never enough time. Okay, so I see it more often when I start feeling that I'm so tired thought. And then when I shift that thought to, I have enough energy. And maybe that thought gets shifted even more to, I have an abundance of energy. Right? So thinking back to time, there's never enough time. I have plenty of time, right? It's kind of that mid ground because maybe our brain doesn't totally believe that there's plenty of time or that there's plenty of energy, right? So finding that middle ground energetically. So when those thoughts come up, you can remind yourself, nope, today I have plenty of time. I have plenty of time to get this thing done. I need to start working, right? Like my next step, my next action is to take action, okay? So backing it up and maybe going a different direction with there's never enough time. What can you do like as a practical application, okay? Like as like literally getting out pen and paper or opening up your notes app on your phone or on your computer, wherever you are. If you're driving, please pause this, right? And wait for a different day because this second part of this episode, I want you to get a little tactical and I want you to grab a pen and paper or, grab your virtual notebook, right? Like get out something to jot some things down. So first of all, when you're experiencing there's never enough time, from a strategic standpoint, what are you spending your time on? Okay, and get really clear on what you're spending your time on and how much time you're spending there. Okay, so I would imagine to guess if you're experiencing there's never enough time, chances are you might be scrolling too much on Facebook. You might be scrolling too much on Instagram. You might be taking in too much stuff, too much podcast stuff, right? You might be taking in too many books, right? You might be spending your time in places that you don't necessarily think you're quote unquote wasting your time. But when you break it down, like, what are you doing on Instagram? Do you open Instagram and immediately start to scroll? Or do you open Instagram and immediately either post something or, comment on a few things? And this is not to say that you need to stop your scroll, right? That is not what I'm saying at all. I just want to encourage you to disrupt your scroll, right? So instead of going on, opening up whatever social media app it is and starting to scroll and taking in content, how can you put out some content before you take in, right? So putting something out there that your ideal client is going to want to connect with, that they are going to want to comment on, that they are going to want to engage with you on, right? So to start the warming process, to go from a unknown to you to known to you lead, right? So how can you make that shift? And it really starts with energy, right? It starts with your energy of like, I have enough time. I have time right now. I'm going to post on Instagram, and I'm going to post on Instagram something that my audience will connect with. And doing that first, it's kind of like getting up in the morning and making your bed, right? You've accomplished something for the day. So that right there, that little shift instead of just automatically starting the scroll or automatically opening stories, that little shift can help you, number one, feel more productive in your day, right? Because now you've done that thing, you've posted on social media, and it's so much easier for you to say, oh, yeah, I did. I got this done. Check. I can check this off. And knowing that you can then check it off, right, gives you the satisfaction of there was plenty of time for me to do that thing. So if you can see already, right, like going from there's never enough time to I have plenty of time really comes down to how can you shift your energetics? How can you shift what you're doing so that you're putting something that you are getting done for your business first, right? So after you make this list of where are you spending your time and on what, right? Like where are you spending it and how much of it are you spending? And I know I have an iPhone, and in the iPhone, it will give you stats on like how much time you're spending on apps. And, you can set different parameters around, how much time you want to keep spending on those apps and so forth. And that maybe is going a little extreme, but it's still something you can do. So if you are scrolling too much on Facebook or Instagram, you could set that up so you cannot get to those apps. And that, I would say, is going a little extreme. But it is definitely something that you can do. So you've figured out where you're spending your time and on what. Now I want you to go in and I want you to think about, what do I need to get done, right? What are some things that need to get done in my business? And you can make this list as big or as small as you want, right? Like if you have some big things that you're doing in your business, what needs to get done and how can you start to work on them? Okay. And it's not necessarily to say, do all of this stuff right now or forever hold your peace, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. But when you start to realize, okay, here is where I'm spending my time, and maybe I'm spending too much time in XYZ. in this place. Maybe I'm spending too much time scrolling, right? How can I shift that? So maybe today, instead of spending an hour scrolling, I only spend 45 minutes scrolling, right? And not necessarily like taking that all away, but giving yourself a space to really, be open with yourself, right? Be open and be honest with yourself about, okay, this is what I'm doing. Here's where I'm spending my time. This is what I'm not accomplishing, right? Like, also, when you write down where you're spending your time and how much of it, and then you go through and you write down, a to-do list of like, this is what needs to get done. Also write down a goal list, right? What is 1 or 2 goals that you have in your business that you want to accomplish in the next 90 days? And why does this matter? Because then if your to-do list is a little erratic or isn't really helping you, right? You can go and you can look at those goals and say, okay, I want to book 5 clients in the next 3 months. Actually, we're going to say 6 because it's a better number, right? So I want to book 6 clients over the next 3 months, right? So from that perspective, how are you going to generate those leads, right? Where are you going to go to generate those leads? Now, I would say focus on one platform until you're really good, really solid on that platform, and you feel like you've got a handle on it. And then focus on something else. So if that's Instagram, great, you're going to focus on Instagram. If that's Facebook and groups, great, you're going to focus there, right? So wherever it is, pick it. Okay, but our goal in this case is 6 clients in the next 3 months. Okay, so first of all, you have to make sure your offer is optimized and make sure that your offer is something that people want to pay for. How do you know if it's something people want to pay for? You go and ask them, right? You can go and ask in Facebook groups, on Instagram, like Facebook groups are a plethora of gold that you can go and do some of this market research and validation within a group without even really posting, and just see, what are people looking for? Are they looking for this subject? So on and so forth, right? So once you have your offer optimized, then you have to start producing content that speaks to that offer, but also is speaking to your ideal client, right? When you are speaking to your ideal client, their hopes, their dreams, some of their pain points as well, right? That starts to shift how people interact with you, right? It starts to turn cold leads into warm leads. And that is where you start the shift from, oh my gosh, I'm not booking any clients, to, oh my gosh, I'm connecting with so many people, right? I'm connecting with so many people and I have so many potential leads. I have so many leads in my inbox. So if you're thinking about working on those 6 clients over the next 3 months, right? Normally, I would say for most people, it's probably about a 20% booking rate. So that means for every 1 person, you're having 5 conversations, and out of those 5, 1 person is booking. Okay. So in the case of 6 clients, that then means you need to have 30 conversations. Now, how did I figure that out? So if you're thinking, right, out of every 5 conversations, 1 book, 5 goes into, or 6, you have to multiply by 5, multiply 5 by 6, and that will give you 30, right? And then 20% of that is 6 leads. So if you have a higher booking rate than that, yay, I'm so excited. If you have no clue what your booking rate is, take a look at that, right? Here's the thing with business, right? Business is a lot of data, a lot of numbers. And for me, I'm working on getting my booking rate from 20% up to, I want it to be around 50%. So I'm starting to do a lot of work around who I'm talking to, how qualified are they, right? Where am I connecting with them? So I'm doing a lot of work, kind of background work, to see how can I make sure that the leads that I am connecting with are kind of pre-qualified and like warm or hot, right? But it's good to, if you don't know, you can assume a 20% booking rate. And then as you start to connect with people, you'll start to see, is that booking rate spot on? Is it not? And it's okay, whatever way it goes, right? Whatever way, up or down, it is okay. Right? Like, and that's where some people get really stuck in their mind. And that's where this time of this thought of there's never enough time or there's never enough starts to creep in, right? Because pretty soon you've talked to 12 people and you haven't booked one, right? Or, you've talked to 5 people and they've all booked, right? So it really depends energetically where you are. And if you're setting yourself up correctly, energetically, before you step into your business each day, it's going to feel a little bit easier, right? It's going to feel a little bit more open, a little bit more flow. So going back to your strategy for booking 6 clients in 3 months. Now, 30 conversations do not have to happen on day 1. In fact, I would highly advise against that because that's a lot of interaction. So 6 clients in 3 months, that means 2 clients per month, which means 10 conversations, right? If we're going for a 20% booking rate. So 10 qualified conversations per month with qualified clients, right? Or people who need your help, and having an optimized offer, right? And a sales process. That's what you need in order to generate sales, in order to step out of that. There's never enough time. There's never enough money. In order to step out of that, the steps are simple, right? The difficult part is that your mind tends to get in your way. Okay, so when you're thinking about booking these clients, right? This comes back to how much admin work is too much admin work. Now, I love the idea of keeping track of where you're spending your time, what you're doing, right? Understanding that, and also understanding where your leads are coming from, understanding how you're connecting with your leads, right? There's different softwares out there that you can use. I've also created a tracker that you can utilize, right, to start to keep track of where you're connecting, who you're connecting with, what they've connected on, right? So understanding some of that information is really, really good for you to know, how did I create this client, right? That's important if you want to be able to have a repeatable business, right? When you're a coach, you want to be able to make it easy for yourself to, number 1, connect with clients, number 2, book with clients, and number 3, understand where they came from, right? Where did those clients come from? Was it a Facebook group? What group was it in? What were you talking about, right? Things like that are going to be the key to understanding how to keep things simple in your business. So I want to wrap this up here, and I hope this has all been really helpful. So from an energetic level, there's never enough time. How can you shift that thought away from there's never enough time to there's plenty of time? I have an abundance of time, right? And sometimes when you start that thought process, your brain, you're gonna say that other thing, and your brain is gonna go, yeah, sure, but there's still not enough time, right? So sometimes it takes time to make that shift from there's never enough time to there's an abundance of time. And how can you kind of, when you're in that shift, right, when you're going from A to B, how can you make it easier for your brain to process that, where you're not having this, you're saying this, there's an abundance of time, but then your brain is kind of just that little voice in the back of your head is following up with, yeah, but maybe not for you, right? How can you shift that? And again, this is stuff that I help women do in the Empower Her Business Blueprint. Everything I've talked about today is what I help people do. I help them optimize their offer. I help them work through their mindset, gunk, garbage, whatever you want to call it, right? I help them work through that. I help them create a strategy of learning to connect with people, right? Learning who your best client is to connect with, how to connect with them, how to speak with them, how to create content that connects with them. And then also understanding how to sell, right? And a lot of this, I look at a lot of my clients' human design charts and I help them from that perspective. So I help them apply a lot of what they're doing in human design to their business, right? How can they really utilize their specific and unique design in their business so that their business feels easy, right? So that they can stop having there's never enough time thoughts, so that they can shift into I have an abundance of time. I know I'm getting my work done. I know I'm connecting with people, right? Because mindset at the end of the day is 90% of your business, right? The other 10% is data, basically. So keep that in mind as you are listening to this. If this all sounds like things like, yes, I want help learning how to create content that feels easy to talk to my ideal client. Yes, I want to optimize my offer and understand, is my offer something that is something people want to pay for? Because there are there's probably 10 different niches for every single person in this world. But not all niches are profitable, right? And sometimes it just takes shifting your wording just a little bit to shift into that profitability and the understanding, right? For people who are reading your stuff. And then I also help people, learn how to sell. And I think it's something really unique. So I teach them about the whiteboard method that I use, but I also teach them to understand what feels good for them, right? If the whiteboard doesn't feel great for you, then don't use it, right? If it's easier for you to connect via DM and voice note, then do that, right? Like there are so many opportunities, like things are endless, the opportunities. And I want you to understand that in business, right? Knowing that you have the opportunity to lean into something that feels good right now, whether that is human design, whether it's not, whether it is, I don't know, you dream it and you can do it, right? Knowing that you have that opportunity is so, so important for your business. And oftentimes when you know that, it will help you navigate away from there's never enough time to I have an abundance of time, right? And it'll help you spend time accordingly in places that it needs to be spent more, right? So that you can focus on more, better things for your business. And as you grow in your business, when you start to see that maybe there's too much admin work going on, right? Because, you can track data for days. And some people really love to track data. I just recorded a podcast interview with a woman who loves to track that data, and that is what she helps her clients do. And that is amazing. But for someone like me, if I started tracking that level of data, I would get lost in it and then I would not get any work done, right? And one is not wrong, right? Both are correct. But how can I understand my data, not get lost in it, and still be productive, right? Still connect with clients, still have those conversations that are leading to closing sales. And again, that is all stuff that falls under the umbrella of the Empower Her Business Blueprint. So if you're interested in learning more about how I work, who I work with, what work we do, go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram. Just send me the word blueprint and I would love to hop on a clarity call with you and we'll go over what it is I do, where you're at, and how the two can fit together. So I hope you have the best day ever. I'm so excited for you to listen to this. And if you got something out of this, I would love, love, love it if you drop me a rating, drop me a review, or sent me something on Instagram. Hi, I'm so excited for you to listen to this. I'm so excited to hear all of your thoughts. Have an amazing day.